And integrity is a value these past leaders have actually passed down, and we have stepped into those shoes and we're also living it.
They've made actually is based on integrity, good leadership as in honesty, and very simple life. Their lives were so simple that ruling the country was really simple then. But now a lot of complications, people are not simple, and then the secret to life is simplicity. They were really simple, and if we could only emulate them by being really simple, then life would have been awesome.
Very importantly, we should let the words of the Vice President's statement inspire us to keep forging ahead towards creating the Nigeria of our dreams. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Hi. We are here for registration.
Can I have your number, please? 49. Number 2 just left my office now.
So,
It is number 3 stone.
are you saying I have to be on the queue? Do you know who you're talking to?
Our policy says we should queue. Madam, it is high time we started doing things right in this country. Next, please. Turn around.
Mr. Brief, you really need this money for a new pair of shoes.
That notwithstanding, I shall not be bribed. This is corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. This is Corruption Must Go. The establishment of ICPC in 2000 under the chairmanship of late Justice Mustafa Akombi, CFR, saw the rejuvenation of government efforts to fight corruption, especially with Nigeria rating as the second most corrupt country in the world at that time. With the mandate to prosecute and prevent corrupt practices, ICPC took the fight against corruption head-on by initiating participatory and attitudinal change programs that would involve all Nigerians. The results of these activities and strategies led to petitions, investigations, seizures, forfeitures, and convictions of many persons. To date, the Commission has caught the following categories of persons in its enforcement net: former governors, legislators, directors, local government chairmen, academicians, fraudsters, heads of agencies and parastatals, among others. Several convictions have been secured against corrupt persons, one of which recent ones saw a former SUBEP chairman for a cumulative of 12 years imprisonment without the option of fine. Also, several seizures of movable and immovable properties have been effected. In addition, misused assets of government in various forms have been recovered. ICPC has furthermore come to the rescue of ordinary Nigerians who have been victimized by corrupt practices in the system. ICPC's efforts at sanitizing the process of visa procurement has resulted in the conviction of many a visa fraudster and earned it the commendation of many embassies, including those of the UK and India. In carrying out its prevention mandate, the Commission has deployed various strategies that include establishment of anti-corruption and transparency units in MDAs with over 400 actors established so far. System study and review of corrupt-prone processes to nip corruption in the bud has been carried out in some universities, state governments, and federal institutions. Remarkably, too, the Commission has carried out corruption risk assessment of processes at 2 major airports, 6 seaports, some MDGs-related MDAs, among others, with recommendations for far-reaching reforms. One of such recommendations resulted in the development and harmonization of standard operating procedures for all agencies operating at the ports and installation of a port service support portal at www.pssp.ng as mechanism for addressing complaints on integrity and service issues. In the area of public education and mobilization, the Commission has carried out a series of campaigns and initiatives such as Citizens Engagement Forum, Integrity Education Project, Introduction of Values into School Curricula, National Anti-Corruption Coalition, Anti-Corruption NYSC Groups, Anti-Corruption Clubs, and the National Anti-Corruption Volunteer Corps, NAVC, among other citizen participation platforms. With the government's change from manual to e-payment system, the Commission has given active support to the Government Integrated Financial and Management Information System, GIFMIS, Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPs, and Treasury Single Account, TSA, and has even conducted a corruption risk assessment of the platforms. It has recommended a number of actions that will enhance the resilience of the platforms to corruption. The Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, ACAN, a manpower development arm of ICPC that focuses on integrity and anti-corruption strategies, started operations in 2014. Its establishment enjoys international commendation and is currently being processed as Regional Anti-Corruption Academy in West Africa. It has trained over 8,000 persons, cutting across legislators, other public officers, and the private sector. These trainings are meant to reform both personnel and the systems they operate. We spoke to a cross-section of Nigerians on their view of the successes recorded by the present administration in the fight against corruption as we mark this year's independence. Let's hear what they have to say.
Yes, I would say that the present administration has assisted tremendously from moving away from where we were in terms of corruption and our bad image.
Particularly in the public sector, you know, most of the corruption is being witnessed in that sector. And if you don't improve the working condition, I mean in terms of welfare, you still get corruption in this country. So, but by and large, I think the consciousness is there now. People are beginning to get aware that we need to speak out, that we need to curtail corruption and be patriotic. And I see a lot of people are beginning to understand that if we are to secure the future of our children, we must curtail some of these excesses. And I believe with this government too, I would say yes, they are trying, but I think more efforts need to be made. And I believe that the welfare of the masses should be looked into. That's my own personal opinion.
I would say tremendous because, as I always say, it's not how many years you have spent as an independent country, but how much have you extracted from each of the years. And it appears it is within this period that we have actually extracted much in terms of corruption, anti-corruption, in the sense that first our minds have been drawn to the dangers and what it has been doing to the economy. Secondly, to the need to improve the way we behave, the way we do things, so that we can obtain the dividends of democracy. So I would like to say that this is like among the first or so major steps taken that is trying to change the country into the right path. And I think that's why people are complaining, because they're used to the old style. But you know, when you wash a pig, he feels that the mud is the best place. He doesn't realize the value he has when he's going to the market.
Let me start by congratulating Nigerians on the occasion of the 58th independence anniversary of Nigeria I urge Nigerians to join hands and support President Muhammadu Buhari by saying no to corruption. Thank you.
There is no doubt that all these programs and mechanisms put in place by ICPC have remarkably contributed to the improved rating of Nigeria on the Corruption Perception Index from the second most corrupt country 16 years ago to 148 among 180 in 2018. It is clear that there is still a lot of room for improvement, and ICPC will not rest on its laurels in this struggle. While the famed integrity and sincerity of purpose of the president is crucial and indicative of strong political will, it is not sufficient to drive, win, or sustain the war against corruption in Nigeria. Sustaining and winning the war requires the commitment of all Nigerians to practice integrity and take action against corruption. Join ICPC in the fight against corruption to make Nigeria great again. Visit our website www.icpc.gov.ng to make your reports, inquiries, and suggestions. You can also reach us via our toll-free numbers as shown on the screen.
Happy 58th Independence Anniversary, Nigeria. See you again, same time next week.
Bye for now.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
I am Adeola Omokibi, and the program you're watching is Sports Real. Keep it date with us.
Fans, they don't understand the rules or the laws of the game.
Hello and welcome to that program of yours on the NTA Sports Channel, Knowing Golf.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Sports Guests on the NTA. My name is Kenem Emma Abodike. Welcome indeed to Saturday Sports Arena on the NTA Sports 24.
It would not be if you continue to just have these vague means of saying these are the yardsticks I want to use.
League Service, a program designed to bring you up to speed with happenings in Nigerian football leagues.
Hello and welcome to Nationwide on Africa's largest television network, NTA. I am Kendi Olaleye. Thanks for joining us. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has presented certificate of return to Osun State Governor-elect Alhaji Boyega Oyetola and his deputy Benedict Alabi at the Commission's headquarters in Osogbo. Tope Alabi reports.
That was the Supervising National Commissioner, Prince Adedeji Shoyebi, presenting certificates of return to the governor-elect and his deputy. The resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Olusegun Agbaje, said the just concluded Osun governorship election had its challenges ranging from desperate attitude of politicians, negative utterances that overrated the polity, and use of armed thugs which were dealt with by security agencies.
Let me once again reassure all stakeholders in the nation's electoral process that the present INEC, under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will never do anything that will alter the gains it has so far achieved in terms of credibility.
The commission, he said, was indeed humbled by the outcome of the election, which he said had received commendation from stakeholders. The governor-elect Alhaji Adegboyega Oyetola speaks.
We are going to work together to ensure that we justify the confidence that people have given to us. It's a mandate, it's a sacred mandate, and I cherish the law.
While reiterating the commitment of the electoral umpire to consider all reports concerning the election, INEC said political parties are free to challenge the outcome at election tribunal. In Osogbo, Tope Alabi, NTA News.
Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has been formally announced as the duly returned candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the state. Chairman Niger State APC governorship primary election, Lucky Imasuen, made this known to newsmen at the conclusion of the direct primary election. Dauda Mohammed reports.
Chairman of the All Progressives Congress governorship primary election in Niger State and a former deputy governor of Edo State, Lucky Imasuen, said though the incumbent governor, Abubakar Sani Bello, was unopposed in the primary, he polled 150,839 votes from members of the party.
by the authority vested in me as the chairman of the All Progressive Congress 2080 governorship primary election held here in Niger State, 30th of September 2080, declare His Excellency Abubakar Sani Bello as returned unopposed with the number of votes earlier announced.
The chairman of the 9-member APC governorship primary election also commended the conduct of the party members during the process. Also speaking, Niger State APC chairman Jibril Imam, while expressing his satisfaction with the process, added that the party is now poised to sweep away other parties in the state during the upcoming general elections. The All Progressives Congress in Niger State has over 300,000 registered members. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
Still in party primaries, Bauchi State Governor Mohammed Abubakar has dedicated his victory at the APC governorship primary election to God and called on other aspirants and party faithful to join hands for the overall success of the party. Governor Abubakar stated this at a press conference. Adamu Aruna Adams takes up the story from here.
Mohammed Abubakar, while reacting to the declaration, said the victory is from God, not as a result of his strategy or efforts. He, however, appealed to other contenders to come together for the good of the party in the state and thanked all other APC supporters for their contributions.
All of them realize that since the commitment is towards the development and the well-being of Bauchi State, now you may be able to do it at a later date.
Governor Abubakar also refuted allegations of intimidation leveled against him by other contenders. In Bauchi, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
And more support groups have continued to give reasons why President Muhammadu Buhari should be re-elected in 2019. The latest is the Niger Delta Youth and Women and Security Movement for Buhari Osinbajo, who acknowledge achievement of the APC-led government in the last 3 years. Political correspondent Saliu Abdullahi reports.
These are members of the Buhari support group from across the 9 states of the Niger Delta. Their consciousness to uphold and demonstrate the passion and ensure continuity in governance through adequate engagement informed the group's visit to the headquarters of the Buhari Support Organization in Abuja. Ongoing infrastructural development across the country, especially in the Niger Delta, the social intervention programs, among others, the group says are key policies that are adding value and transforming human lives and developing the nation.
Anybody attempted to clean up the Niger Delta? Has anybody attempted? No. Today, not only the attempt is being made, but the project has been signed.
The lives of those who follow Buhari also should mirror that. We must be a people that do not run after wealth.
It's not the plight of Niger Delta alone, but we know that the president is genuine. When he says he wants to do anything, he comes out to do it.
Beyond this show of support, stakeholders urged members of the group to be ambassadors of President Buhari and his endeavor towards a better Nigeria. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Ahead of its national convention, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has debunked the rumor that the National Working Committee is in support of a particular presidential aspirant. Timothy Yusuf reports.
National Publicity Secretary of the PDP maintains that 13 presidential aspirants will slug it out at the National Convention, slated for Port Harcourt this weekend on a level playing ground. The party says it has internal mechanism in place to handle all post-convention conflicts.
But we are very concerned about the process of this National Convention. On the Electoral Committee, each of the aspirants will nominate 2 of their supporters to be part of the Electoral Committee. The essence of this is to showcase the transparency.
The Social Democratic Party, SDP, in a similar development, says 4,500 delegates will participate in the party's national convention this weekend in Abuja.
4 major decisions will be taken, namely, A, ratification of the amended constitution of the party, B, approval of a new party logo and manifesto, C, ratification of new executive committee members, and D, the election of the presidential candidate of the party.
5 presidential aspirants are expected to slug it out at the party's national convention in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In spite of several challenges of nationhood, Nigerians see a bright future. A future guests on Tuesday Live say can only become a reality if everyone works in unison for the greater good of all. Joseph Johnson reports that the guests were deliberating on the topic Nigeria at 58, the journey so far.
Picture a 58-year-old man through the eyes of the younger generation and juxtapose it with Nigeria. It would seem like a grown nation. But comparatively, the country is said to be a growing baby. A baby many say is stunted by lack of team spirit, selflessness and political will. Describing the journey of 58 years as draggy, the guests on Tuesday Live expressed the belief that whereas the past contributed to the sluggish growth of the nation, the future of Nigeria remains promising. As such, should be given more attention.
Well, genuinely, for people of my generation and the hopes which were entertained in 1960, not just by Nigerians, but by the world, we have not performed as well as we should.
It did not create the crisis of confidence and the conflicts that are going on all over the place. I think that those crises have been brought about because the failure of the Nigerian government to further good governance, as spelled out in Chapter 2 of our Constitution, the welfare and the well-being of the people.
Others delved into the concept of restructuring.
The federal government should clearly restructure the economy in such a way that investments will be made for serious mineral resources.
But the point is, first, people talking restructuring are not all speaking the same language. I must say, frankly, whether you restructured Nigeria into 100 states or into 6 zones or 8 zones, if the idea of going into politics is to go and loot and become a member of Forbes list of rich men, we get nowhere.
We'll be looking out for the Nigeria we've been told of. The youth will be looking out for a situation whereby you manage to go to school, get your education, as you are coming out, you are gainfully employed.
There has to be a shared national vision which everybody in the system must commit to.
In the midst of all the challenges, somewhat slowing down the progression of nation building, there are indications that with the Buhari administration's drive towards switching Nigeria's journey tracks, the country may yet not only strive for the best, but will thrive in the long run. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Thank you, Joseph. The journey of Nigeria at 58 has been with some hurdles, but a quality leadership per time can translate the fortunes of the country. This was the consensus by guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria as they x-ray the economic perspective of Nigeria at 58. Attitudinal consciousness by both government and the people, they also suggest, is paramount in the development of the nation. Patricia Esamiluba has the details.
People have different projections about how a country can achieve greatness. But a common opinion among development economies is that perseverance is one of the attributes of great nations. In other words, ability to be steadfast in pursuing one's goals despite challenges make a nation strong. Specifically, economic experts have predicted that Nigeria has what it takes to achieve the greatness that she desires.
Coupled with the fact that we have an economic planning policy that is consistent with the realities of that time and peacefully implemented by all actors.
There was also a culture of planning. The first development plan was 1962 to 1968. I've studied it in material detail. There were top Harvard economists who came, worked with the Nigerian economists in designing that plan.
Now, with the advent of WTO and rule-based systems and tightening up of quality assurance and quality conformity assessment requirements,
quality infrastructure is required for us to play as hard as we played in the 60s.
At independence in 1960, agriculture was the mainstay of the nation's economy, providing the largest foreign exchange between 1970s and the 1980s. Oil accounted for nearly 87% of exports. Since then, the country has been grappling with challenges associated with oil and other development issues. Speaking against this background, guests on Good Morning Nigeria say, Nigeria can achieve much more if Nigerians can change the negative perception. On his part, Nazif Dharma and Obadiah Mailafia harped on strategy and privatization.
The country needs a sustained planning culture. Now, let us institutionalize it in such a way that if you have that law, whosoever come, he cannot be able to do anything outside that planning.
It should be agro-allied. It should be linked agriculture, generating surplus from the rural area, feeding into the urban industrial manufacturing sector.
The guests are optimistic that attitudinal change and perception will make the difference. In Abuja, Patricia A. Samiluba, NTA News.
About 19,000 poor and vulnerable households in Kano State have received 10,000 naira payment for the month of June and July under the Conditional Cash Transfer Program. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the stipend is part of the Buhari administration's commitment to assist the poor.
These are some of the beneficiaries in Medobi local government area of Kano State shrilling and thanking President Muhammadu Buhari after receiving their 2 months' payment. The program cut across 15 local government areas in the state, and Medobi Center is the second largest with 1,445 beneficiaries. The payment process was characterized by screening of beneficiary through identification of community and tag number.
Today payment is going on in Madobi, Kunche and Sanyawa, and we have everything is moving well. There is no violence, no any offset from the community. So as you can see outside, the beneficiaries are enjoying. They have received this monthly stipend. They are praying to the federal government and the state government for more support.
While addressing the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the money, the State Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Aisha Jafar Yusuf, says more dividend of democracy by Buhari administration is underway.
We want them to use this money to have something doing so that when they have profit, that can help them to assist their children in going to school.
The additional 25,000 which were enrolled will soon benefit from the program after validation. Muhammad Rabi, NTA News.
And more on ongoing primaries in Lagos. Dotson Ogoyemi is standing by. Hello, Dotson. Good to see you.
Thank you, Kehinde, for joining us in Lagos. Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been declared winner of the Lagos State All Progressives Congress APC governorship primary held in the state. He scored 970,851 votes to defeat the incumbent governor Akeem Miambade, who got 72,901. The chairman of the Lagos APC Governorship Primary Committee, Clement Eberi, announced the results at a media briefing after the final collation of the results. Tunde Saiki has the details.
Mr. Clement Eberi adjudged the conduct of the Lagos State governorship primaries of the APC peaceful, free and fair. The direct voting system, otherwise known as option A4, was adopted with voters queuing behind their preferred candidate in the 245 wards in the 20 local government areas of the state. The chairman of the governorship primary committee, Clement Eberi, said some initial hiccups were immediately resolved.
At the end of the exercise, the following votes were scored by the aspirants, by the respective aspirants. Governor Akeem Mumi Ambode, 72,901 votes. The other aspirant, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, scored 970,851 votes. Following these results, I, Clement Eberi, the chairman of the Lagos State APC Governorship Primary Committee, hereby declare Babajide Sanwo-Olu as the winner.
The state APC party chairman, Babatunde Balogun, said the party members showed a high level of responsibility during and after the exercise. Meanwhile, the senatorial primary, earlier scheduled for today, has been postponed till another date, as the state is yet to receive the electoral materials from the national headquarters in Abuja. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
The celebration of the nation's 58th independence anniversary provided another opportunity for Nigerians to air their views on the gains of democracy. Paul Omukago reports.
Unlike the 29 years of military incursion into governance of the country at various times, democracy, particularly between 1999 to date, has earned the country respect globally. This was a view of a cross-section of Nigerians who highlighted the gains of democratic rule since the nation's independence. Recognition of the constitutional rights of the people, the principles of separation of powers between the executive, legislative, and judicial arms of government, they explain, are pivotal to deepening democracy in the country.
Very few universities in those days, and not many people can afford to go to universities. But now we have so many universities that people can get secondary, tertiary education.
Our health indices, environmental indices were better, much better than we have now.
Democracy is a time where you can't rule forever. So you need to look at your performances. And that is one of the gains that I see in democracy. It helps us to hold men accountable.
With democracy, they believe that if, with the number of people, population that we have in Nigeria, if you continue to import, we cannot stand on our own. And they thought of it that, okay, the best way for us is to make ourselves independent.
Analysts say with 58 years of independence anniversary, the country has come a long way among community of democratic nations.
To make life better for the ordinary man on the streets is all Nigerians are asking for to deepen our democracy. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
Economic experts in Lagos are advocating the implementation of maritime ports reforms, especially harmonization of all agencies' operation into a single interface in one location, among other policies towards the ease of doing business. This, they say, is towards decongesting and achieving efficiency in Nigerian port management. Amaka Owo reports.
2017 report from the World Bank that measures the efficiency of ports across the world ranks Nigeria 183rd out of 185 countries. This, they say, is owing to various bottlenecks encountered by key players which hinder the ease of doing business. It ranges from delay in the movement of goods for ports and exports processes, unofficial charges, human interface, technical breakdown, among others. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry understands that these problems will hinder government's aspiration to grow the non-oil sector and undermine capacity of investors to maximize trade opportunities in Nigeria. Implementing the integrated advanced cargo and customs clearance system beyond its current 10%, signing the ports reform bill, reducing the number of MDAs and security formation, as well as paying attention to other ports in the country, will have meaningful effect.
The National Trade Data Center have been established, but not accessible by most stakeholders in the port. The center should be readily accessible to all agencies, operators, and stakeholders at all times. A trailer park that was under construction around Tinkan Island Port, but has been abandoned for some time now, should be revived.
Considering the critical role of the maritime sector to the overall growth of the Nigerian economy, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries are advocating that a single window platform be created to address the various bureaucratic bottlenecks and delays experienced in the Nigerian ports. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
That is the much we can take from here as we join Obehi in our Benin studio for more on Nationwide.
Hello, thanks for joining us in Benin.
Motorists, especially truck drivers plying the Benin-Auchi highway, are experiencing tough times at the Ekpoma axis of the road. A section of the road has gone bad due to erosion. Kelvin Ewonaye reports that truck drivers now spend days to navigate their way.
Dangerous potholes and ditches have become a seasonal problem on the Ekpoma axis of the Benin-Auchi highway in recent times. The contractor handling the dualization project carried out a palliative work on the bad sections of the road in March this year. But a few months later, erosion has washed them away, thereby creating even more dangerous ditches at the Moscow and Upoji junctions axis of the road, which has now made life difficult for motorists. Some of the motorists describe driving on the highway as a tough task, especially when there are no alternative routes to access Auchi or Abuja from Benin axis, as residents of Ekpoma are determined to prevent the use of the township road by truck drivers.
Since yesterday I moved to Lagos. I'm supposed to be Abuja by 9. So okay, now I see there for Ekpoma here.
At night, these trucks you see here go through the town, destroying the road that the contractor does this.
Observers say if urgent remedy is not provided, the road may be completely cut off soon. In Ekpoma, Kelvin Ewonaye, NTA News.
The Buhari Oshibanjo Continuity Group has been inaugurated in Ekiti State with the aim of mobilizing support for the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari. Kola Adebuboye has the report.
Having identified with the numerous achievements recorded by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, notwithstanding some challenges, the committee, which has a seasoned administrator and politician, Femi Babalola, as the state chairman, was inaugurated to form a stronger team and strategize on practicable means of mobilizing and canvassing support for re-election of the president to further entrench good governance in the country.
We are going out again to tell our people that they are to vote back this man.
We want to put everything that we have got into the project.
We want Buhari and Oshibanjo to come back again.
Director General of the group, Dr. Rino Inyoton, who was represented by the Southwest Coordinator, Mr. Femi Bamishile, said members of the Buhari Oshibanjo Continuity Group are all instrumental to the purposeful assignment ahead of the 2019 general elections.
It's about looking at the achievements of our president in the past 3.5 years and be able to portray this to the people of Nigeria for us to showcase the individual that is coming back to run the government.
The Buhari Oshibanjo Continuity Group has the responsibility of ensuring mass mobilization for the re-election of President Buhari of All Progressives Congress. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
And away from politics to the environment. The challenges of wildlife conservation in Nigeria can only be tackled if concerted efforts are made towards checking habitat degradation and poaching. This was the submission of key players in wildlife management at a forum in Akure, Ondo State. Abiola Ariyo reports.
The gathering, which was interactive in nature, critically reviewed measures to be adopted by government and relevant authorities on practical solutions to major threats to nature conservation in the country. The stakeholders recommended the creation of national parks and game reserves in all the 6 geopolitical zones in the country.
Conservation and sustainable use of wildlife resources and their protection depends on changed behavior by all individuals.
With wildlife, we'll be able to conserve our natural resources and we're able to conserve our environment.
If you go to the states now, the structures are there, but it is either there's a problem of manpower, capacity, or funding.
They also suggested that the federal government should intervene by formulating wildlife laws. Wildlife conservation is the practice of protecting wild plant and animal species and their habitats. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA News.
A nation that makes quality education priority is assured of its future generation. This was brought to the fore at the event to mark the 58th independence anniversary of Nigeria, organized for children by NTA Benin Network Center. Ivie Omori reports that the young minds were tasked on some topical issues in a debate.
Why social media is a curse to the Nigerian child and not a blessing is because, one, it exposes children to pornographic films and pictures due to lack of parental guidance and policies.
14th May 2016 reports that Nigeria loses an estimated 127 billion naira to cybercrime.
Views of future leaders of Nigeria on the burning issue of social media influence on the young generation. Worried by the spate of abuse, the Zonal Director, NTA Benin Network Center, Pauline Igbano, says when children are exposed to the dangers involved, the future for them is assured, and stressed the importance of education to national development.
Education is paramount in the building of any nation. Any nation that wants to be great must prioritize education.
Guests at the event have similar views.
I'm happy when I saw a very young girl, or the young kids who spoke earlier here, extolling the virtues of Nigeria.
May I seize this opportunity to call on new students to gain employment skills.
March past, speeches, cultural dance, among others, commemorated the day. In Benin, Ivie Omoyi, NTA News.
That's it from Benin. Nationwide continues after this break.
Speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
For years, the NTA has been promoting science, technology, arts and crafts under the tagged name National Children's Expo. We are set with another edition as we gather children around Nigeria, junior category ages 6 to 12 and senior category ages 13 to 18. The theme for Expo 2018, achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture, meeting the challenges of security and exposition of alternative energy as pathways to national development. Date, October 21st to 25th, 2018. Venue, NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. We are set to celebrate the best of innovation across the country. For more information, please call the following numbers. NTA ETV, promoting learning.
Zuma Film Festival 2018 Abuja. Theme, Archiving for Creativity. Date, December 1st to 7th, 2018. Featuring film screenings, masterclasses, special tributes, NFC Annual Film Lecture, NFC Annual Essay Competition Awards, special national and state days, Lifetime Achievement Awards, and Zuma Film Festival 2018 Awards. Submission of entries for non-competition, competition and screening is ongoing and closes September 30th, 2018. All entries should be forwarded to the festival director, Zuma Film Festival Nigerian Film Corporation, headquarters in Jos, and or its zonal offices in Abia, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, Yola, and Abuja. Or through the Film Freeway online platform, www.filmfreeway.com. For further inquiries, call 0033146842, 08052728321, or 08063390420, or visit the website www.zumafilmfest.gov.ng. Zuma Film Festival 2018, December 1st to 7th, Abuja, Nigerians' foremost film festival.
EA Nigeria, a citizen participatory program, will soon be on your screen. It will transmit Mondays to Thursdays by 6 p.m. on NTA Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba channels, and NTA Entertainment, all on NTA Star TV network. EA Nigeria seeks to promote the appreciation of our indigenous languages, citizen civic responsibility, nationalism, and capacity building. It also helps to address misrepresentation of our national symbols. EA Nigeria is a live phone-in TV program, so you can join in the conversation. For sponsorship and participation, please contact these numbers. EA Nigeria, promoting culture and national values.
Good to know that you're still there with us. Nigeria has restated its commitment to promote a science, space and technology within approved international guidelines. This was at the 15th International Telecommunications Union's consultation meeting in Abuja, hosted for the first time in Africa. Chimdima Ndubisi reports.
Nigerian Communications Satellite, NIGCOMSAT, is the space science and technology run by Nigeria to provide telecommunication, broadcast and navigational overlay services. Our collaboration between NIGCOMSAT and the Defense Space Administration sees the provision of cyber and security services for national development. This makes the country a front-runner in space technology in Africa, explaining why Nigeria is hosting the 15th International Telecommunication Union Consultation Meeting, the first by an African country. Here, world space administrators operating or planning to operate systems in aeronautical radio navigation satellite services are discussing to determine and achieve the level of operation and protection of systems. Nigeria is weak to pledge allegiance to provisions of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space.
The Nigerian Air Force will be glad to key into the navigation overlay service, especially for in-flight connectivity and performance-based navigation.
Our space programs is completely for non-aggression. This is because Nigeria is a responsible member of the international community that intends to pursue its legitimate ambition in space for peaceful purposes.
And we continue to support the ITU in its different operations and services to ensure that relevant technical and administrative parameters, as well as requirements for operational and planned radio navigation satellite systems, are well coordinated.
We are reversing this trend of relying only on natural resources by leveraging on ICTs to stimulate economic growth as well as sustain rapid socio-economic development with emphasis on jobs and wealth creation.
Already, the country has put in place an enabling environment to facilitate tapping from information and communication technology-driven economy. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
The United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed says Nigerians working in the international system have continued to give the country a positive image through their excellent contribution. Amina was speaking at a reception for some Nigerians at the Nigerian Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York. Makud Simon Macham reports.
This is an event to honor some Nigerians working in international organizations at the United Nations, as well as some staff of the Nigerian Permanent Mission to the United Nations. Thus honored include Fatima Kyari Muhammad, AU Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Ahunna Ezekonwa, UN Assistant Secretary General and Director of the UNDP Regional Bureau for Africa, as well as the outgoing Nigerian Defense Attaché at the Nigerian Permanent Mission to the United Nations, Brigadier General Solomon Odonwa.
You have seen transitions, promotions, movements, and related good things.
UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed described the reception as another opportunity to highlight achievements of Nigerians in the international system.
They're doing really well. We have many in the agencies, we have many in the Secretariat, and everyone is adding value to the work. They're being recognized, they bring their experience to the job, and you know, as Nigerians, we're never afraid to speak or to lead. So we're very impressed with them.
The honorees all appreciated the opportunity Nigeria has given them to serve at the global level.
Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami says government is committed to the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria. The Attorney General stated this in a message to the Northwest consultation on the National Action Plan held in Kaduna. Aman Jabani reports.
The National Action Plan for the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights in Nigeria, which is for a period of 4 years on a short run and 10 years in the long run, is an audit of human rights situation in Nigeria with a view to identifying areas that need improvement. In his message, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said the consultation on the National Action Plan has become imperative in view of the Buhari administration's respect for the rule of law, democracy, and human rights.
Your contribution to this document today will contribute in no small measure in setting a defined human rights agenda for Nigeria for the next couple of years.
Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, said the consultation was an opportunity to strengthen the synergy among key players and promote respect for human rights.
It's one of the strategies which is meant at holding accountable those who violate human rights, to make sure that we put measures in place to make sure there's progressive improvement in human rights.
There were presentations on the rights of women, child and young persons, civil and political rights, business and human rights, among others, at the forum. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Still on judicial matters, social justice and empathy have been identified as critical requirements for entrenchment of alternative dispute resolution in the society. This was brought to the fore at a one-day sensitization forum on the use of alternative dispute resolution mechanism for promotion of social justice in Nigeria, held in Bauchi. Adamu Haruna Adams reports that the campaign was put together by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The campaign, which has a theme, Building a People of Peace, seeks, among other things, restoration and strengthening of the traditional system of brokering peace and engendering peaceful coexistence among Nigerians without recourse to litigations and counter-litigations. However, stakeholders were unanimous that success of alternative dispute resolution is contingent on the availability of social justice in society. Director General, National Orientation Agency, represented by Director Special Duties and State Operations, Mrs. Mete Edeko, urged stakeholders to ensure justice, fairness, and equity to all and sundries, irrespective of affiliations, at all levels of social interaction, adding that will go a long way in ensuring peace in society.
Because even today, if something happens in our families, in our homes, in our villages, that is the method we use.
Stakeholders also preferred ways of enhancing alternative dispute resolution in today's Nigeria and urged relevant bodies in the process to take the task with all sense of commitments ahead of the 2019 general elections. The one-day campaign drew participants from various organizations, including traditional institutions, civil society organizations, and security agencies. In Bauchi, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
State capital after the weekend disturbances that led to imposition of curfew in the metropolis. Caleb Gochin has an update.
As activities are gradually picking up, our findings revealed that contrary to the stories we got in regards to the terminus area, shops were opened with owners in clusters, possibly discussing the happenings. Banks were also opened for business with ATM points witnessing few customers. Other areas visited were Old Bukru Park,
Bauchi Road, Masalachin Juma Street, among others. Peace seems to be the recurring dismal on the lips of the people.
To give peace a chance. If we continue like this, hunger is going to wipe all of us out.
I want our leaders to make these people not to cause this thing again.
NTA News also confirmed reliably that calm has also returned to most of the areas placed under the sit-at-home order. Meanwhile, Governor Lalong, who visited the areas affected in the disturbances, has called for calm, urging citizens to avoid taking the law into their hands. The governor, who also visited victims of the crisis on admission at the Bingham University Teaching Hospital and University of Jos, said government will deal decisively with perpetrators.
Anybody we find behind it is going to be thoroughly investigated and also prosecuted.
In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Chineye is next in our Enugu studio for more stories on Nationwide.
Thank you, Kehinde, and welcome to Enugu. The Deputy Senate President and incumbent Senator representing Enugu West Senatorial District, Ikekwe Madu, as well as the Senator representing Enugu North Senatorial Zone, Chukwuka Utazi, have clinched the PDP tickets to fly the party's flag in the 2019 general elections. Reports that the exercise was adjourned to be peaceful and orderly.
Exercises that lasted for about 6 hours were conducted in an orderly manner with heavy security presence. It was witnessed by INEC officials, chairman and secretaries of the senatorial panel from Abuja. With the sorting and counting of the ballot over, the returning officer Enugu West Senatorial District, Innocent Ezoha, announced Senator Ekweremadu winner with an overwhelming vote cast of 690. Following in a distant second with 84 votes is Isaac Ogbu, while OAU Onyema bagged the third position with 61 votes.
I hereby declare Professor Ike Ekweremadu having scored a total vote of 690 votes and the highest votes cast, the winner of Enugu West Senatorial District of PDP.
The Deputy Senate President commended the smooth conduct of the exercise, promising not to let down his constituents.
I will put behind us the contest where we are now together, we are one. We don't have anything against any person. Let us come together so that we will be able to win for the PDP.
In Enugu North Senatorial District, this was the joy that greeted the emergence of the incumbent senator representing the area, Chukwuka Utazi, who polled 1,065 votes to emerge the party's candidate. Senator Utazi thanked his constituents for the confidence reposed in him and promised them a better representation. Accreditation of delegates had earlier held in both senatorial districts. Former governor of Enugu State, Chimaroke Nnamani, also emerged the party candidate for Enugu East Senatorial Zone. In Enugu, Beauty Robamie, NTA News.
As the nation marks 58 years of independence, Enugu State Governor Chief Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi has urged Nigerians to reflect on the past experience of the country, its achievements so far, and the prospects ahead. He was speaking at Independence Day celebration. Management of the Nigerian Television Authority Enugu Network Center also organized a fun fair to mark the event. Presented by the State Commissioner for Education, Governor Ugwuanyi noted that freedom from colonial rule is only a fraction of what the nation is celebrating. The vibrant democracy in the country and the myriad of achievements by the current administration in Enugu State, he said, are all reasons for the people to celebrate.
This administration from inception has continually engaged in the awards of scholarships at various levels.
Also in the spirit of the celebration, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority Enugu Network Center organized the maiden edition of Independence Day celebration in a grand style. In a welcome address, the zonal director, Benny Mordi, extolled the potentials of Nigeria and emphasized the need for the unity of Nigerians.
What we have today is definitely not what our founding fathers. They fought for a united country where we all live together as one.
school children from various public and private schools within the state. Staff of the Nigerian Television Authority in Enugu took turns in a march past, while the cultural heritage of Nigeria was promoted. High point of the event was the cutting of the Independence Anniversary cake. Well-meaning individuals have continued to establish non-governmental organizations, NGOs, of different kinds to complement efforts of government in ensuring the overall well-being of the people. While some live up to their expected humanitarian intentions, others turn into money-making ventures. Eva Aneke in this report x-rays the critical roles of NGOs in nation building.
Child education is so critical to national development that is always closely linked to the kind of future any nation may have. As such, it should not be left in the hands of governments alone. It therefore becomes praiseworthy. Those are non-governmental organizations award scholarships, tutorials, campaign for talent development, and even erecting infrastructure that are always capital intensive or free of charge. No doubt, if participants in such ventures cut across nationalities, it promotes healthy and smooth cultural exchanges, especially when they come together and interact for a period of time.
Spread this camping so that they could have a wonderful experience. People who have such a wealth, let them help the society.
Likewise, provision of healthcare services for children, women, and the aged are transnational issues that rank tops among the Sustainable Development Goals. Groups and individuals are always called upon to assist the efforts of governments in this regard.
We give them scholarships. We do camping exercises to be able to fund them. When the people are sick, they cannot produce. We need to put our hands together, helping our people to develop, to be able to means of livelihood.
Indeed, governments and society need to be thankful when individuals and groups step up to assist in these and many other areas. In Enugu, Eva Aneke, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Kehinde in Abuja after this commercial break.
This is my first experience riding this train. I've heard about it so much all around the city.
Actually, I'm surprised that such a development is coming to us.
I was impressed, saw neat, and actually you can compare with any type of train, all over the world.
I could not imagine that I'll be going from Edo straight to the airport by train.
And the environment is so clean, and the ACs are cool.
I want to commend federal government for the initiative to provide these train services.
And I wish to laud the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in seeing that this project is a reality.
Please get ready to alight on the right side of the train. Thank you.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Agenda 2030. As a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the global development agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations, and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Yeah, Modena. Mode. Do you have amala? Yes. And abula? Yes, sir. Black or white? Yamala. Have I ever eaten white amala here before? Yes, sir. Give me amala and abula. Do you have dodo? Dodo 2 grams. Good. Let me have some dodo. I want you to put the meat in a bowl. Shaki, suku, abodi. I like my edo to be very tender. You have stockfish? Yes, sir. Good. Let's have some stockfish. And catfish, my favorite. Don't mind them. Look, you have eggs. I would like 6 boiled eggs. No eggs? Okay, the catfish will do. And then rice. Rice and then some salad. Look. Do you have a guru?
It's good to have you back. And now let's take some stories from the foreign scene with Obiageli Ugoke.
We begin with developments on the African continent. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has appealed to authorities in regional states to address the ethnic tensions that have led to tens of thousands of people being displaced by violence. Mr. Ahmed was addressing a conference of the ruling EPRDF coalition, his first speech as a Prime Minister. In the meantime, the death toll in Indonesia's twin quake tsunami disaster has reached above 1,400, with rescue efforts still ongoing 5 days after the disaster struck. Indonesia's disaster agency spokesperson said thousands of people are injured and more than 70,000 have been displaced from their homes. Meanwhile, the UN has warned of vast unmet needs as rescue efforts are hampered by lack of heavy machinery and severe transport links. And from the UN comes a report that the International Court of Justice has ordered the US to ease sanctions it imposed on Iran after pulling out of a nuclear deal last year. Announcing the decision Wednesday, the court's president, Judge Abdulgawi Yusuf, said exports of humanitarian goods such as food and medicines should be allowed. However, the US argued the court has no jurisdiction in the case as it concerns its national security. And that's it from the scene. To stay tuned for the rest of the news. I'm Obiageli Ugoke.
Up next is Sport Update, and Emanzi Marcos is our guide.